Tradition is something that both sports and community have been built around throughout the years. But sadly, more and more we are seeing tradition torn down due to greed and ego. My name is Chris Lee Moore, and I've been known by multiple names, particularly in the Dallas-Fort Worth area as the Rowdy Ranger. And for more than 20 years, this place has been like my summer home. Whether you know it as the ballpark in Arlington, Ameriquest Field, Rangers Ballpark, or Globe Life Park, this baseball cathedral opened in 1994 with the promise that it would stand for generations. A place that embraced the history of both Texas and baseball that the city of Arlington and the Texas Rangers would be proud of for many, many years to come. But now, the current Rangers ownership thinks that after less than 30 years, this park has become outdated and must be completely replaced with a whole new monstrosity at the cost of more than $1 billion, at least half of which would be at the expense of taxpayers. All because a select few are now claiming they shouldn't have to deal with nature's elements and they feel entitled to watching baseball in a completely enclosed environment. The Rangers and the local government of Arlington are using scare tactics and propaganda to try and convince the people of Arlington that this is absolutely necessary. But when you look at the evidence objectively, it just doesn't make sense. The biggest arguments toward the Rangers needing an indoor facility have been that the hot summer conditions in North Texas will always make it impossible for the team to succeed on the field or in the stands, weakening athletes over the course of a season and drawing potential patrons away. But where are the numbers to back this up? The Texas Rangers have now made Major League Baseball's postseason for at least the 5th time in 7 years. 6 times if you count when they forced a tie-breaking game for a wild card spot in 2013. In that time span, they made the World Series for the only 2 times in the franchise's history. In addition, the Rangers over that time period have consistently been in the top 10 in attendance in Major League Baseball. The last 6 years have included the only 2 times in franchise history that they drew 3 million in attendance for a season. Furthermore, what evidence is there to suggest that playing in an indoor stadium is a benefit to any baseball club? In this time period when the Rangers have been one of baseball's most consistent winners and draws, their rivals down south, the Houston Astros, who have played in exactly the type of retractable roof ballpark that the Rangers detractors now clamor for, have been the exact opposite. Not only have they made only 1 wildcard appearance in those same years, but they lost more than 90 games for 4 straight years from 2011 to 2014, losing more than 100 games 3 straight years. And they've also finished in the bottom half of their league in attendance for 8 straight years now. In their entire history, they've only drawn 3 million in attendance twice, just like the Rangers. And the Astros are not an anomaly in this case. In the more than 50 years since indoor baseball became a possibility, only 7 teams have made the World Series while playing indoors. This year, not only did 4 of the 7 teams that currently play indoors finish below 500 for the season, but 6 of those 7 teams were in the bottom half in attendance in Major League Baseball this year, while the top 2 teams in attendance were also clubs that play outdoors in warm weather cities. In fact, Los Angeles managed to have 2 teams draw more than 3 million in attendance this season, despite not only their hot conditions, but a poor season on the field from the Angels. Opponents of outdoor baseball in Texas love to point out that the Rangers have still never won the World Series while playing in North Texas. But again, neither have the Astros, who have played in Texas for 10 years more than the Rangers, with all but the first 3 seasons playing indoors. The Seattle Mariners, who have played indoors since their inception in 1977, are the oldest franchise to never reach the World Series. The club formerly known as the Montreal Expos played indoors for 28 years while in Canada, and they never finished a full season in first place. It's only been since the club became the Washington Nationals and moved to a new outdoor ballpark in the District of Columbia that the team has become a consistently winning organization and playoff contender. One of the worst arguments I've heard to try and support a new place is the claim that fans of outdoor baseball will have nothing to fear because the roof will always be open anytime the weather is in good condition. But again, where is the evidence to back this up from other teams that have retractable roof stadiums? If you were to spend any length of time in a city with such a facility, you would likely find that the roof remains closed for at least 80 to 90% of the games played in it. In fact, the Dallas Cowboys have played in such a facility since 2009, and despite North Texas having some of the most temperate conditions during the months of football season, their stadium remains closed almost all of the time. As rare is it that even they get to see one football game all season played with the roof open. Simply put, the Rangers are trying to cater to people who demand luxury and comfort 100% of the time and would demand the indoor climate-controlled conditions even if it was 70 degrees with clear skies outside. So we would likely never again get to see baseball under blue skies. Even if one could argue that a new facility is necessary, there remains the question as to why the citizens of Arlington and other taxpayers need to pay for a third major league stadium in 25 years, especially given how much more prices to attend Ranger games have skyrocketed, particularly in recent years. When the current ballpark opened in 1994, infield seats cost only $16, and outfield seats could have been had for $4 to $9, with parking costing just $5. In 2010, the year the Rangers first went to the World Series, bleachers could still be purchased for just $16 a game, $10 per game on a season ticket plan. For the 2016 season, the minimum price for infield seats was more than $45 a ticket, while outfield seats went for at least $34, with parking being roughly $15 to $20 depending on the game. A single outfield seat plus parking would cost more than $50, amounting to more than $4,000 for a full season, about 2.5 times the $1,600 that a full season ticket plus parking in the outfield would have cost just back in 2010. And prices are already slated to go up even further. The Rangers have already announced that the grandstand seats in upper right field, the cheapest seats in the park for years, are being phased out and will cost as much as the other upper level seats beginning in 2017, claiming that the addition of a second video board has eliminated the incentive to price those tickets lower. What does all this amount to? Well, if we can theorize that the average cost for attending a Rangers game is just $40 in tickets and parking, then at the current average of more than 33,000 in attendance per game, that would generate more than $108 million in ticket revenue for a season. The Rangers also get $80 million a year from their current television contract with Fox Sports Southwest. And this doesn't even factor in the money they make from concessions and merchandise. It's not unrealistic to assume that the Rangers currently generate close to $300 million in revenue each year, and yet they need another $500 million from public taxpayers to build them a new facility. A facility that many people in the city of Arlington won't even benefit from. Mayor Jeff Williams is currently trumpeting the Rangers as Arlington's hometown team, but with changing demographics and more high-dollar families moving to places like Southlake, Frisco, and Allen over the past decade plus, it's safe safe to guess that not even a third of current Rangers ticket buyers, including season ticket holders, actually live in Arlington. Major sports facilities can be built without public tax dollars. Texas Motor Speedway, which opened in 1997 at a cost of $250 million, was funded exclusively by Speedway Motorsports Incorporated itself, aided largely by the company going onto the New York Stock Exchange in 1995. The College Park Center on the campus of UT Arlington was funded through student fees and financial support of corporate partners like Carrizo Oil and Gas. City officials and other proponents continue to claim that the new ballpark will draw more business to the city and create an exciting new atmosphere for the entertainment district. But this is a dog and pony show that we've been told before. On this spot once lay a large hillside that back during the current ballpark's development was to be converted into an amphitheater as part of a massive entertainment complex. In the mid-2000s, that plan was finally abandoned and the hill was paved down for a parking lot. These condominiums that were meant to be part of a massive Rangers village remain half completed. Restaurants have opened up around the ballpark time and time again, only to usually close down within a couple of years. For more than 20 years, the city has promised that new development will lead to Arlington's entertainment district becoming one of the greatest public venues in the Metroplex, turning game days into a social phenomenon where people will show up early in the day, hours before game time, hang out, socialize, and spend money at the many restaurants and bars before the game starts, take in the game, and then continue to stay and party through the night at these bars long after the game ends. But this simply has never happened. Whether we like to admit it or not, Dallas-Fort Worth sports fans, including those who attend Rangers games, will always be notorious for arriving late, leaving early, and confining their spending to within the stadium, with the money going to the sports franchises and nowhere else. Meanwhile, as Arlington has spent the better part of 3 decades giving tax money to major sports teams with little return, other areas of the city continue to struggle. Currently, the city's only transit link to the rest of Dallas-Fort Worth is a single bus line that operates only on weekdays and doesn't even directly serve the entertainment district. Funding for the arts was cut many years ago. On this lot once stood the Creative Arts Theater and School, which was forced to leave its residents in 2012 and went out of business for good earlier this year. The proponents of the new stadium claims that if it does not pass, the Rangers will leave the city of Arlington, with some even warning they may even leave the Metroplex altogether. The question then is, where would they go? Despite claims from the present and former mayors of Arlington, there has been no evidence to suggest that any city currently in the Metroplex has made a play to lure the Rangers from Arlington. Dallas has not made any official bid, and their history of both failing to keep the Cowboys, lure them back, and try to draw on the Rangers are legendarily well known in the Metroplex. Fort Worth, with its massive plans for mixed-use development along the Trinity River, has no plans of including professional sports in the mix, and in fact, they will likely tear down the minor league ballpark within the city as part of their plan. The only city that might be bold would be Frisco, but with all the money they currently have tied into building the Dallas Cowboys' new practice complex and the renovations to FC Dallas's soccer stadium, them procuring another $500 million in tax money is just not realistic. So then, would the Rangers really be a threat to leave the Metroplex altogether? With baseball having returned to Washington, D.C. and arriving in Tampa, MLB has pretty much exhausted the number of markets they absolutely wanted franchises in. The Oakland Athletics have been trying for nearly 20 years to get out of their current facility, the Coliseum in Oakland, which is degraded into a crumbling facility in a dangerous neighborhood that has encountered plumbing issues and numerous other problems. The Athletics are currently one of the worst draws in baseball, yet despite these problems and an impasse toward getting a new stadium anywhere in the Bay Area, a market that MLB would not lose should the A's move because of the San Francisco Giants, MLB opposes any attempt by the A's to relocate. If MLB is not willing to let a club like the A's leave their current situation, why would they allow it for the Rangers? Grandstanding, fear-mongering, inaccuracies, and outright propaganda. All weapons being used by both the current Texas Rangers ownership and the city of Arlington to try and scare its citizens into handing over at least $500 million in public tax money to a mega million-dollar private organization in order to replace a fully functioning ballpark with a new gaudy monstrosity, all to satisfy elitist, rich, spoiled individuals who think they can't enjoy baseball if it's out in the elements, many of whom don't even live within the city of Arlington and did not support the ball club until it truly became trendy to do so. All it amounts to is a waste of money, a waste of resources, a waste of a great facility that was meant to stand for generations, and an overall bad deal for both baseball fans and the city of Arlington. But it doesn't have to happen. On Election Day this November, cast your ballot to send a message. Vote no on the plan to use tax money to replace the Rangers' current ballpark. Help save our stadium and tell those people in office there's a better use of Arlington's tax money.